$56 million. It still boggles my mind how much these Negroes spent on this Straight Out of Compton movie at the box office. The Negro can find $56 million to watch a movie where his image is degraded, but will sit back and tell me that this book at $10 is too expensive. They'll tell me this book at $11 is too expensive. And they'll tell me this book at $11 is too expensive. And they'll tell me that this book at $14 is too expensive for them to spend money on. But they'll find $56 million to give Ice Cube, the NWA, these white liberals out of their pocket. They will find $56 million for white liberals in Hollywood, but a black publisher, they can't find $10 to $14 to give them. And on top of it, they can't even find 99 cents to pick up an ebook. This is how insane, this Negro is. And on top of it, this same Negro will tell me these images are too light-skinned, this image is too light-skinned, this image is too light-skinned to be black, and that this image is too light-skinned to be black. But these same Negroes will go out and watch a movie which perpetuates some of the worst stereotypes about himself, saying that my images are too light-skinned when people who are almost the same color are out participating in the most degrading acts known to man. And what's even crazier is this same Negro will go out and, canonize and deify these same individuals. I mean, I look at this Straight Out of Compton minstrel show, and here we have Afro-Americans going out and trying to praise this movie as some sort of glorious film. How is it a glorious film? This is a film about how the white liberal literally hijacked your art form, and yet you have people giving this film accolades. And it just deeply, deeply saddens me to see that this Afro-American Negro, he still can't smell the glaze. He still can't see the glaze. He can't even taste the glaze. I mean, he can't even see how the honey barbecue bottle is being held in the hands of these Uncle Toms like your NWA members and the white liberal who is sponsoring them. He just can't see it. And how these same individuals are literally degrading his image, tarnishing his image, and doing it at his own expense. He just can't see it. And this is the sad part regarding your Afro-American Negro. I mean, he goes out and spends $56 million on some of the most negative images known to man, and a movie that literally tells the story of how his art form got hijacked by white liberals and made to fit into his narrative. And he thinks there's nothing wrong with this. This is what the saddest of sad parts is regarding this Negro. And what's even sadder about it is you have these youngsters talking about how it relates to Black Lives Matter. Well, I'm going to tell you the sad, horrible truth about how this situation parallels Black Lives Matter. Here you have the NWA, a bunch of gang members and thugs, just like your Michael Brown and just like your dysfunctional Eric Garner and all these other Negroes, Freddie Gray. And here you have Negroes doing what they did 20 years ago in canonizing and deifying the exact same type of people. And then you have the same Negroes coming in and saying that, these people are victims of racism and white supremacy and police brutality. And then you also have the same parallel in that you have the same white liberals literally hijacking the so-called movement. Those are the parallels between your NWA and your Black Lives Matter, because here we have it, exact same parallels. You have a group of thugs who are out to tarnish the image of black people so they can get ahead. You have, a group of white liberals out to take out to create a new narrative for the Afro-American Negro. And then you have the Negro masses falling for the same game and not thinking once, I'm being conned, and that my narrative is about to be hijacked. Because that's what George Soros and these white liberals are getting ready to do with your Black Lives Matter movement. They're getting ready to hijack the narrative and change the whole voice of it. This is why you have people coming out and saying all lives matter, because they're getting ready to take your narrative again. And the Negro, because he's too stupid to sit down and say, what's going on here? How does this? Why are we going after Jeb Bush? Because I was watching a David Carroll video and he talked about this. Why am I going after Jeb Bush instead of us looking at the sitting president and the attorney general who decided, I'm not going to pursue any charges against Trayvon Martin and I'm not going to pursue any charges against Michael Brown. This was your Democratic president who was sitting in office with his black attorney general and this black president who decided not to pursue any charges. Yet we have the Black Lives Matter movement going after Jeb Bush, and the Negro can't see how his own movement has been hijacked by white liberals to fit their agenda. And I just find it really sad that this Afro-American Negro, he still can't see the game. He can't see the glaze. He can't see how he is literally being used and exploited by the same white liberals he constantly trusts time and time again. I mean, the NWA sat there and trusted these white liberals to, bring them into hip hop, and all they did was use them to take control of the narrative of hip hop and make it fit their view. And ever since they took over and they made it to fit the white liberals' view, we have gotten a homogenous image from hip hop of thugged out black men in sagging pants, thugged out black men in t-shirts, thugged out black men in bling, black men talking about selling dope to their own people, black men talking about killing their own people, black men talking about being in gangs. And the Negro couldn't connect the dots in 1989. And here in 2015, he still can't connect the dots almost 30 years later regarding how this white liberal has pretty much taken his art form and hijacked it, and can't see the same parallels, regarding his Black Lives Matter movement. How the white liberal is just getting ready to hijack that movement and make it fit his narrative and literally take it from this Negro. But because this Negro has no critical thinking skills and he can't understand history, he just can't figure out what's going on regarding this whole situation. Because I listened to this Negro, he says, oh, everything is so similar to Ferguson. No, yeah, it is similar to Ferguson. You have the white liberal taking your narrative and taking your situation and making it fit his narrative. And the Negro is so stupid, he can't even see, what's coming to him. And he sits there and he thinks that giving $56 million to a movie that degrades his image is empowering. He thinks giving him $56 million to a movie that literally tells the world that he's a minstrel and a shine is pretty much a positive thing. But that's what's really sad, about this whole Straight Out of Compton situation. This Negro can't see how he's being exploited and made a fool out of. All he's thinking about is, we made a blockbuster movie. It's a success. Not understanding that the white liberals behind the scenes are literally changing the narrative and changing the image of the Afro-American Negro to fit their view. And their view of this Afro-American Negro has been the same over the last 15 years, and I have said this in numerous videos. Over the last 15 years, we've gotten nothing but minstrels from Hollywood. I mean, Monsters Ball, Precious, Training Day, numerous movies, No Good Deed, numerous movies perpetuating the worst stereotypes regarding this Afro-American Negro. And the sad part is now we have the Negro so mentally conditioned that he'll actually go out and not only spend, like he did last year with No Good Deed, where he spent $25 million to make that movie #1 in the opening weekend. He goes out and spends more money, spends $56 million to make this movie the #1 movie in America and the biggest black film to date. And this is what's really sad, regarding this Afro-American Negro. He is the one degrading himself. He can't say that it's the white liberal alone. He's the one coming out of his pocket to degrade himself. And then he'll sit there and let a movie like Dope come and go and say they don't make films for him, when there was movies like Dope which were pretty much ignored. And it pretty much shows, what the Afro-American Negro really feels about himself and how he really sees himself, because there are great films out there which feature positive images of African Americans, but the Afro-American Negro doesn't have the backbone or the courage, to go out and support these films and to go out and stand up for these films and, make an effort to go out and go see them. No, he'd rather take all of his money and support these minstrel shows and continue to degrade his own image, all in the hopes that these white liberals will come up and give him a hug. He's still, again, looking to get his emotional needs met from an economic and political system. And this is what that whole, Straight Outta Compton, giving it all his money is all about. You're still looking for your emotional needs to be met from this economic and political system, not understanding that every dollar you spend to degrade yourself tells people to value you even less. And this is what's so backwards, regarding this Afro-American Negro. He's the one degrading himself, and then expecting people, to go out and give him love. And it doesn't work that way. In order to get love, you have to love yourself, and you have to value yourself enough to say, I have value as a black person, and I'm going to only support things that present positive images of myself. I mean, I mean, I look at this Negro. I look at him, and it's just sad to me. I mean, he can find again $56 million to spend with white liberals to degrade his image. But I ask him for 1099 for this, 1099 for this, 1099 for this, 14.99 for this, $14 for this, and or 99 cents for the ebook, and he tells me he can't find the money, or he tells me the images on the covers are too light skinned, or he tells me he just doesn't like the art on the covers. He gives me shallow, superficial reasons not for supporting positive images of African Americans, but he'll find a way to go to this movie which features images of people who not only degraded his community, but sold out his community, sold out his art form, sold out everything about him, and never went and took a minute to even give back to their own community like your Bill Cosby did with all of these HBCUs and all of these kids with potential. These Negroes in this NWA, these gang members, all they did was bring terror and havoc to their own communities, and then they sold dope to their own people. Yet we praise these people as heroes, we deify those people as heroes, and you Negroes, that's what's just so sad about it is you'll go out and spend $56 million to praise villains, but you won't support the real heroes of your Afro-American community, and you won't support people like myself who are trying to, uplift the image of the African American community. You won't make an effort, to go out and support that, but you'll go out and give $56 million, and then you'll sit there and say, what, people don't really care about my community. Well, the people who cared about your community, like myself, we get frustrated and disgusted when we see you come out of your pocket, with $56 million, but then tell us you ain't got no money. That's what's really frustrating to me. I mean, a guy like me comes out of his own pocket, to publish books, even after he's been unemployed for 7 straight years, and shows how much he cares, And I look at that, and I say to myself, sometimes I think to myself, why am I doing this? I mean, this Negro will sit here and give $56 million to this, and just like he did last year with No Good Deed, he gives $25 million to that. He makes Empire the #1 show in America, and he sits there and says, I want positive images of myself, but then here you are making these things the #1 things in America, and then wondering, why people like myself are just frustrated. I mean, it's just insane to me. I mean, I look at this $56 million. If you had put that money into something positive, maybe something would change. And maybe if you put that $56 million that you Negroes spent on that Straight Outta Compton movie into an ISIS series, into a Temptation of John Hanks, maybe people would start to see that Black Lives Matter, because you are showing people that Black Lives Matter, because you're out here buying positive images of yourself instead of continuing to promote the same victimized narrative that this white liberal continues to perpetuate about you, and the same degrading images that this white liberal continues to perpetuate against you. I mean, it's just sad to me watching you Negroes, time and time again, hand money over to the same Uncle Toms and the same white liberals who have presented nothing but the same narrative over and over again. I mean, if you look at the picture, the big picture regarding this Afro-American Negro, and you look at the big picture regarding the images, again, like I said in the previous video, the image of this Negro has not, the times may have changed, but the image regarding this white liberal and his view of this Negro has not changed. You go back to the 1930s, same image of Afro-American Negro. You go to the 1970s and the blaxploitation era with the white liberal, same image of this Afro-American Negro. You go to the late 1980s, 1990s with this NWA, same image of this Afro-American Negro regarding this white liberal. And if you go to 2015 with this Empire and all these other images like your Monsters Ball and your Precious and your Scandal, same image regarding the perpetuation of the image of this Afro-American Negro from this white liberal and his Uncle Tom cohorts. But this Negro, he can't connect the dots, he can't figure out the big picture, and he can't see how he is literally supporting his own degradation by buying into the mainstream image of the Afro-American Negro instead of doing like myself and going out and trying to make your own images and trying to promote your own images and trying to create positive images of yourself. And when you buy from yourself and you buy from someone who looks like you, again, it's saying that you love you and you value you. But when you go out and buy something from a white liberal, and a white liberal sponsored thing, all it's saying is that, I want more of this, because here you are telling the world, you're sending a message to the world. Give me more minstrel images. Give me more brute images. Give me more coon images. This is what you're saying to the world, Negro. This is the message you send when you hand $56 million to people for a movie like Straight Outta Compton. This is what you're telling the entire world. Degrade me, disrespect me, because at the end of the day, Black lives don't matter to me. They don't matter, and they shouldn't matter to you.